And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Sean. And Sean writes, after a single season, it's been announced that Jupiter's Legacy will be replaced with Supercrooks, a new show set in the same universe as Jupiter's Legacy. Although Jupiter's Legacy wasn't amazing, it's disappointing to see Netflix continue the trend of building a property up and then pulling the plug without any closure. Even if Supercrooks is a great continuation of the Millarworld brand, should we let ourselves care? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen. Jupiter's Legacy was a show that a lot of us got very hyped to see. The graphic novel story is really great. The characters are good. It's a really interesting look at the whole genre of superheroes. We started to see some teaser footage. A lot of us started to get pretty pumped. I like the cast. I like Josh Duhamel, and I love Leslie Bibb. Love her. And so there was a lot to be excited about. And then the show came. Well, the problem was the show wasn't very good. I mean, it's all subjective. I mean, if you watch it and you loved it, awesome. I was looking forward to it. I watched it. I think it's fair to say, disappointed. I was kind of let down by it. It was not as good as the promise of it had to be. And I'll be honest with you, it started to become a little bit of a chore to get through to the end of it. There are certainly strong points to it. Jupiter's Legacy absolutely has some strengths to it. And a lot of the flashback stuff was done very well. The mythology behind it is really cool. There's a lot of good things there, but it just didn't execute. And by the time the show ended, it was like, I didn't have any more desire to see anything further. And I know a lot of people who then just skipped watching it because they heard a lot of negative word of mouth. And by the way, Dino Vader sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. So there was that. So it really, honestly, comes as no surprise hearing all the negative word of mouth and talking to a lot of people who just skipped watching it at all. It was no surprise that we then got the news last night that Jupiter's Legacy is done. The official announcement is that they've let the actors out of their contracts. They are no longer moving forward with any Jupiter's Legacy. Now, this comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant who write the following. Jupiter's Legacy Season 1 ended with quite the cliffhanger, it really did, leaving the door wide open for the story to continue into Season 2. Though Netflix had been quiet about the show's prospects in recent weeks, Millar's deal with Netflix and his eagerness to adapt his comics for the streamer seemed to indicate more would be on the way. In fact, Millar even said Jupiter's Legacy Season 2 was planned out. However, it now looks like Netflix isn't pursuing the utopian story arc any further. And once again, that comes to us from Screen Rant. Look, I get it. I get it. Now, I also understand what you're writing in your email, Sean, when you say, man, yet again, Netflix isn't letting a show go through to its conclusion. It's a business. Why would you, let me put it this way. Let's say, I don't know, you owned a lemonade stand. All right? Let's say, Sean, that you owned a lemonade stand and you put in $250 to get a lemonade stand all set, stocked, up and running, did a little bit of marketing with that $250, and you invested $250 in a lemonade stand for a weekend. And that lemonade stand only returned you $100. Are you going to invest another $250 million next weekend? No, you're not. And nobody would be able to complain to you, well, Sean just isn't seeing it through. No, you tried it, it didn't work, and it lost you money, and you're in a business. If you're making product and you're sinking money into a product and that product does not yield to you the returns you need, then you're not going to just go keep throwing money at it. Look, the reality is this. Jupiter's Legacy was not that good. It's up to your individual interpretation, of course, but from my perspective, it just simply wasn't that good. There was a lot of people who didn't think it was all that good. It didn't get the viewership numbers they wanted, and it was a relatively expensive show to make. So if you're Netflix, are you going to rush out and drop more money on this thing? No, probably not. Probably not. You're not going to do that, and Netflix shouldn't do it either. It doesn't matter. Well, the story didn't finish. That's not a reason to drop another $100 million on something. Or $80 million, however much it costs for them to do an 8-episode season. I have no idea. But you're not going to do it. What is interesting in this story, though, I've got to admit, what's kind of interesting in the story is the idea that Netflix is still planning on doing a Supercrooks show. That's the wrong button there. A Supercrooks show that is in the same world as the Utopian and Jupiter's Legacy. This, to me, is a very odd decision. Like, if you gave this world a go and you had some really good, compelling characters, because I do think Jupiter's Legacy had some really good, compelling characters. You had some really, really good, compelling characters. And you had this whole world set up and you put it out and you got your main guy, Utopian, in there, and it fell flat. I'm not quite sure why you'd be so anxious to rush ahead with another one that takes place in the same world. Now, who knows? Maybe they get for this Supercrooks team, which, by the way, is a stupid title, but maybe the story's great. I've not read it myself. Maybe it's great. Understanding. So this Supercrooks show will probably have a completely different set of creators. They'll probably have a completely different set of writers, and it could end up being a much better show. It could. I still think it's a very odd decision. So, yeah, I wasn't surprised at all to hear that Jupiter's Legacy got the axe, and I'm not disappointed either. I mean, I get it. It's just, honestly, if they did do a Jupiter's Legacy Season 2, I probably wouldn't have watched it. Even though my girl Leslie Bibb's in there, I still probably wouldn't have watched it. It just kind of lost me that much. Anyway, the question is for you guys. What do you think about the cancellation of Jupiter's Legacy? Maybe you're one of the people who really did enjoy it. Maybe you're bummed out about it. Maybe you didn't like it, but you still thought they should have got a second season. Or maybe you're like me, where it's like, I was disappointed by it, and it makes sense that they didn't continue it. What do you guys think? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.